Hi everyone, and welcome to this video where we will cover how to use a FireMon tool called Traffic Flow Analysis, or TFA as I will refer to it for the rest of the video. Most firewall administrators or engineers will be familiar with the rule that fills you with dread, the any rule. Any source, any destination, any service and/or application. It's a massive hole in the security of the organization that you work for, and usually very difficult to mitigate. And if it is mitigated, it normally involves lengthy analysis of logs. This is where TFA can come to the rescue. TFA can be configured with a flow profile against any rule in your rule base. Some prereqs are that the rule has to be set to log and the device is sending logs to the data collector. TFA will build a record of the IP flows that traverse that rule over a predefined time frame, showing sources, destinations, and port or application. It can be used not just for any rules, but also rules that have a policy that is too wide open for your security policy with large subnets in the source and destination. We can then simply create new rules to match the flows collected further up the rule base than the problematic rule and monitor with TFA until there eventually are no hits against that bad rule. So let's look at where and how in FireMon we configure TFA. Open Security Manager, then click on Tools on the top right. You will see the TFA section near the bottom, so click on Dashboard. In the dashboard you will see already existing flow profiles if you have any. To create a new one, click Create New Flow Profile. When the Create New Flow Profile screen appears, give the profile a name. Then on the right in the target device, select the device you know the problematic rule is on. Next, in the data collection criteria, click the lookup button where it says target rule. The next page that appears is the full rule base for the device. If this is a large rule base, then you will need to use the next button to go through the rule base until you find the rule and select it. For those who have larger rule bases, there is an easier way to find the rule and create a flow profile. I'll come back to that part later in the video. Once you have found the rule, then click the radio button next to it. This will take you back to the Create Flow Profile page. To actually create the flow profile, click the Create Flow Profile button. Just a note on these other configurable items in the data collection criteria. You don't have to select a rule. You could build a flow profile for all connections. Let's say that happened between a source subnet and a destination subnet on TCP port 443. That will build a flow profile for all connections across the device for those criteria that you've selected. Okay, so let's go ahead and click Create Flow Profile. The next page is back to the dashboard and we can see the new TFA. We can see that it is automatically set to an active state. And here, if we click the three dots to the right of the flow profile, we can do things like make it inactive, run the report, or export it into XLS. I'm going to go ahead and export the data I've collected for this one. In this case, you can see that I don't really have much traffic across this firewall. It's minimal, but in a real world scenario, you're going to have lots and lots of flows. Here is another report that was generated on a different test system. The report shows the target rule, which in this case is an any. Next, you have a summary of the flows giving a count of how many sources, destinations, services, and applications that were allowed. Then moving down, we see a breakdown of the accepted flows. You can see the first flow here as a total hit count of around 2.5 million. And the individual sources, destinations, service, and application all have their individual hit counts against them. The destination in this case being Google's DNS server. And if we move down, there's a further breakdown of the flows at more of a subnet view for both sources and destinations that have been captured across the whole flow. And then lastly, a breakdown of all the services and applications captured across the flow. So the flow profile information is broken down in different ways with the report export compared to the XLS export. So the last thing I'll show here is what I mentioned earlier, an easier way to create a flow profile from the Security Rules view in Security Manager. Just locate the rule in this view and click the three dots to the right of the rule. Then click Create Traffic Flow Profile. That takes us back to the Create Traffic Flow Profile page. So that about covers the content for this video, so I'll sign off and thanks for watching.